Jake Morrison stood at the massive viewing window of the Grand Galactic Alliance station, watching ships from dozens of worlds dock at the metal arms that stretched out like a giant spider. The station orbited a blue and green planet called Kepler 442b, far from Earth and everything he knew. As the leader of the human group at this year's big meeting, Jake felt small among all these alien races who had been traveling between stars for thousands of years, while humans had only learned about life 50 years ago. The main hall buzzed with different languages and sounds Jake could not understand. Tall reptile people with green scales talked in hissing voices. Glowing beings made of pure energy floated above the ground. Creatures with too many arms and eyes moved around tables covered with strange foods. Jake wore his best blue uniform, with the Earth symbol on his chest. But he felt like a child at an adult party. His aide, Kate Phillips, walked up to him holding a data pad. She was young but smart, always keeping track of all the political games these alien races played. "Commander, the main event starts in 1 hour," she said. "Queen Zaranth of the Vorthak Empire will meet with possible marriage partners." Jake nodded and looked across the room at a raised platform where a figure sat in what looked like a floating chair. Queen Zaranth was unlike any alien Jake had seen before. Her people, the Vorthak, had bodies that looked like they were made of blue crystal with light moving under their skin. They were known as great warriors and had minds that could speak to each other without words. But something was different about their queen. Dr. Ben Carter, the science officer on Jake's team, joined them. "I've been reading about her condition," he said quietly. "She was born with damaged brain paths that make her mind-speaking weak. She also has trouble moving, which is why she needs that special chair." Jake watched as different alien leaders walked up to the platform to meet the queen. Each time, the meeting was short. The reptile people, called Saurians, sent their prince forward. He looked at Queen Zaranth for less than a minute before walking away, shaking his head. Jake heard him tell his guards, "Broken genetics. My children would be weak." Next came representatives from the Luminari, the glowing energy beings. Their leader floated near the queen's chair, but the light around him grew dim as he moved away. "Incomplete," Jake heard him say in a voice like wind chimes. "Not suitable for our pure bloodline." One by one, each group rejected her. The six-armed. Hexapod said she was insufficient. The plant-like Verdani claimed she was unsuitable for growth. Even smaller, less powerful races turned away when they saw no benefit in joining with what they called a damaged ruler. Jake felt anger growing in his chest. He had seen this before on Earth, when people looked down on others who were different or had disabilities. His own sister Lucy had been born deaf, and Jake remembered how cruel some people had been to her. But Lucy had become one of Earth's best engineers, proving that being different did not mean being less. Queen Zaranth sat straight in her chair through each rejection, her crystal face showing no emotion. But Jake noticed how her hands gripped the chair arms tighter with each dismissal. Behind her stood tall Vorthak warriors in silver armor, but Jake could see some of them whispering to each other and looking unhappy. The ceremony was falling apart. Without a marriage alliance, Queen Zaranth would be weak against enemies who wanted her throne. Jake had read the reports about General Korthax, her own military leader who thought he should rule instead. The general stood at the back of the Vorthak group, his crystal armor darker than the others, watching everything with calculating eyes. "This is bad," Kate whispered. "If she can't find an ally, there will be civil war in the Vorthak Empire. That could destabilize this whole region of space." Dr. Carter nodded. "And we need stable neighbors. Human colonies are still small and weak. We can't handle a war on our borders. Jake continued watching the Queen. Despite all the rejections, she held her head high. Her crystal skin was a lighter blue than other Vorthak, and the light patterns moving under it were different, slower. But when she spoke to each potential partner, Jake could see intelligence in her large silver eyes. She was not broken or damaged. She was different, and that made her something these other races could not understand. The last possible partner, a gas-breathing creature in a metal suit, also walked away after a brief conversation. The great hall fell silent. Queen Zaranth sat alone on her platform while hundreds of aliens stared at her. Some looked with pity, others with disgust, and a few with calculation as they wondered how to take advantage of her weakness. General Korthax stepped forward from the Vorthak group. His voice was deep and carried across the hall. "My queen, this failure proves what I have said. You are not fit to rule our warrior people. Step down now, and I will take the crown to save our empire from embarrassment." Other Vorthak officers moved behind the general. Jake could see this had been planned. They were using the Queen's failure to find an alliance as an excuse to remove her from power. The coup attempt was happening right here in front of the entire galaxy. Queen Zaranth looked at the general with calm eyes. "I am still your queen, Korthax. Do not forget your place. My place is leading a strong empire, not following a crippled ruler who brings shame to our people," the general replied. That word, crippled, hit Jake like a punch. He remembered bullies using similar words about his sister Lucy. He remembered the pain in her eyes and the fire that grew in her to prove them wrong. Looking at Queen Zaranth now, Jake saw that same fire. Before he could think about it, Jake stepped forward. The movement caught everyone's attention. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to look at the human commander walking toward the platform. "Your Majesty," Jake said, his voice carrying in the sudden quiet. "I request an audience. The United Earth government would like to discuss a possible alliance." The hall exploded in surprised voices. Humans were newcomers, barely worth noticing in galactic politics. They had no great military, no advanced technology, no ancient bloodlines. What could they possibly offer? General Korthax laughed, a sound like crystal breaking. "The monkey people think they can play with real powers. How amusing." But Queen Zaranth looked at Jake with those silver eyes, and for the first time that day, something like hope appeared in them. The private meeting room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the station's life support systems. Jake sat across from Queen Zaranth at a crystal table that matched her skin, feeling like he was about to make either the best or worst decision of his life. Her floating chair moved silently as she positioned herself to face him directly. Kate Phillips and Dr. Carter sat behind Jake, both looking like they thought their commander had lost his mind. On the Queen's side, two Vorthak advisors stood at attention, their crystal armor reflecting the room's blue lights. Jake could feel their distrust like a cold wind. "Commander Morrison," Queen Zaranth said, her voice carrying a musical quality that all Vorthak voices had. "Your offer surprised everyone, including me. What could humanity possibly want from an alliance with my empire?" Jake had been thinking about this question since he made his announcement. The truth was, Earth needed friends among the stars. Human colonies were small and weak, protected only by outdated ships and the goodwill of alien neighbors who mostly ignored them. But that was not the only reason he was here. "Your Majesty, I've been watching today's events and I think everyone is making a big mistake," Jake said. They're looking at what they think you cannot do instead of seeing what you can do. The Queen's silver eyes studied his face. And what do you think I can do? Jake pulled out his datapad and showed her information his team had gathered. In the last 5 years, your empire has stopped 3 pirate fleets, negotiated peace between 2 warring systems, and increased trade profits by 30%. Your military advisors developed new battle tactics that even the Saurian Empire copied. That was all you, not your generals. One of the Vorthak advisors, a tall warrior named Commander Vexitar, stepped forward. How do you know our internal records? Dr. Carter spoke up. Humans are good at gathering information. We had to be, starting so far behind everyone else. We've been studying all our neighbors. Queen Zarinth raised a crystal hand to quiet her advisor. Continue, Commander Morrison. The other races see your limited telepathy as a weakness, Jake said. But I think it's a strength. You can't be mentally controlled or influenced like other Vorthak leaders. Your mobility issues mean you have to think ahead and plan carefully, instead of rushing into fights. These aren't disabilities. They're advantages that make you a better leader. The Queen was quiet for a long moment. Jake could see the light patterns under her crystal skin moving faster, which he had learned meant Vorthak were thinking hard about something. You speak as if you understand something about being different, she said finally. Jake nodded. My sister was born deaf. People told her she couldn't be an engineer because she couldn't hear machines working. But she learned to feel vibrations instead, and now she can find problems in engines that hearing people miss. Being different taught her to find new ways to solve problems. And what problems could humanity solve for the Vorthak Empire? Commander Vexitar asked, still suspicious. Dr. Carter leaned forward. We're adaptable. When we found out we weren't alone in the galaxy, we changed everything about how we live and work in just 50 years. Most races take centuries to make small changes. We can help your people adapt to new challenges. Kate added, Humans are also good at seeing things from different angles. We don't have telepathy or crystal armor or energy bodies, so we had to develop other skills. We're creative problem solvers. Queen Zarinth moved her chair closer to the table. What kind of alliance are you suggesting? The others wanted marriage to combine bloodlines and create political bonds. We're thinking of something different, Jake said. A partnership based on mutual benefit, not ownership. Human military advisors could work with your forces to develop new tactics. Our engineers could study Vorthak technology while sharing human innovations. We could create joint exploration missions to find new worlds and resources. The Queen's advisor whispered something in the musical Vorthak language. She responded in the same tongue, then switched back to Galactic Standard. Commander Vexitar reminds me that humans have no significant military power or advanced technology. What could you teach our warriors? Jake smiled. We're scrappy. When we first met alien races, they had weapons and ships that were far beyond anything we had. But humans learned to fight smart instead of fighting strong. We use hit-and-run tactics, psychological warfare, and creative use of limited resources. Sometimes the best way to win is not to fight the way your enemy expects. Dr. Carter activated a holographic display showing human colony defenses. We've had to protect ourselves from pirates and raiders with minimal resources. We developed new shield configurations, weapon modifications, and defense strategies that work with older technology. Your people have advanced equipment but traditional tactics. Combining both could create something powerful. Queen Zarinth studied the displays for several minutes. Jake could see her brilliant mind working through possibilities, considering angles and outcomes the way a master chess player thought about moves on a board. There would be opposition, she said. General Korthax and his supporters already question my fitness to rule. An alliance with humans would give them more ammunition. Then we prove them wrong, Jake said simply. Let them doubt us. When they see what we can accomplish together, their doubts won't matter. The Queen almost smiled at that. You sound very confident for someone representing a race that most of the galaxy considers primitive. We prefer to think of ourselves as having room to grow, Kate said, and we're very good at growing. Commander Vextar stepped closer to his queen. My lady, this is highly irregular. No royal alliance has ever been formed without marriage or blood bonds. The other powers will not take it seriously. Good, Queen Zarenth said. Let them underestimate us. That will be our first advantage. She turned back to Jake. What would you need from this alliance? Protection for human colonies and trade routes, Jake said honestly. Access to Vorthak technology to improve our ships and defenses, joint research opportunities, and most importantly, a voice in galactic politics. Humans have ideas and perspectives that could benefit everyone, but we need a platform to share them. And in return, military advisors and tactical support, engineering expertise and creative problem-solving, new perspectives on old challenges, and loyalty to our allies no matter what others think of them. The Queen was quiet again, the light, patterns under her skin slowing as she made her decision. Finally, she looked up at Jake with those silver eyes that seemed to see right through him. Commander Morrison, you are either very brave or very foolish to tie your people's fate to a disabled alien queen that no one else wants. Jake met her gaze steadily. Your Majesty, I think those other races are going to regret their short-sightedness very soon. Queen Zarenth extended her crystal hand across the table. When Jake shook it, her skin was surprisingly warm, despite looking like cold stone. Then let us show them what the unwanted can accomplish together, she said. 3 months after the alliance was signed, Jake stood in the war room aboard Queen Zarenth's flagship, the Sovereign's Pride, watching red warning lights flash across the tactical displays. The hegemony of Zerion had launched surprise attacks on 12 different worlds, hitting both human colonies and Vorthak mining operations at the same time. They planned this perfectly, Commander Vextar said, his crystal armor reflecting the red lights. Simultaneous strikes across 4-star systems. Our forces are scattered, and the human colonies have minimal defenses. Queen Zarenth sat in her command chair at the center of the room, studying the holographic battle map that showed enemy ships spreading like a disease across their territory. The light patterns under her crystal skin moved rapidly as her brilliant mind processed the information. The Galactic Council's response? She asked. Kate Phillips looked up from her communication station. Committee meetings and debate sessions. The Saurians want to form an investigation panel. The Luminari are calling for diplomatic talks. No one wants to act without 3 weeks of discussion. Dr. Carter shook his head in frustration. By then, the Zerion forces will have stripped every valuable resource from the attacked worlds and moved on to new targets. Jake watched the Queen as she continued studying the tactical display. Her silver eyes moved across the hologram like she was reading a book, seeing patterns and possibilities that others missed. This was what those other alien races had failed to understand about her. Her different way of thinking did not make her weak. It made her see things they could not. Commander Morrison, she said without looking away from the display, your people have experience fighting with limited resources against superior forces. What would you do? Jake moved closer to the hologram and pointed to several key locations. The Zerion attacks look random, but they're not. They're hitting resource-rich worlds along major trade routes. If I was them, I'd use these captured positions as staging areas for deeper strikes into both our territories. But they have us outnumbered 3-1, Vextar protested. Traditional Vorthak doctrine would be to consolidate our forces and defend our core worlds. Traditional doctrine is what they expect, Queen Zarenth said. Commander Morrison, explain your alternative. Jake highlighted different areas on the map. We don't fight them where they're strong. We hit them where they're weak. Those captured worlds need supply lines and reinforcements. If we can cut those lines and make holding those positions costly, they'll have to choose between advancing or protecting what they've already taken. Dr. Carter joined the discussion. Our joint research teams have been working on modifications to Vorthak energy weapons. We've made them more efficient but also more portable. Human fighters could carry weapons that pack the same punch as Vorthak. Heavy cruisers. The Queen's advisor looked skeptical. Unproven technology and unorthodox tactics against an enemy with superior numbers and established positions. Which is exactly why it might work, Queen Zarenth said. They will expect us to respond like a traditional military force because that is what we have always done. They will not expect creativity. She activated the communication system that connected her to fleet commanders across both human and Vorthak space. All units, this is Queen Zarenth. We are implementing Joint Tactical Protocol 7. Human and Vorthak forces will operate as integrated units under combined command structure. Over the next hour, Jake watched as their unlikely alliance transformed into something remarkable. Human pilots like Squadron Leader Alex Turner took control of modified Vorthak fighters, their smaller size allowing them to fit into cockpits designed for different body types, while the upgraded weapons gave them firepower they had never dreamed of having. Vorthak warriors learned human guerrilla tactics from instructors like Lieutenant Bob Harrison, who had fought pirates in the Outer Rim colonies. The crystal-armored soldiers adapted quickly to hit-and-run strategies that used their natural toughness in new ways. The first counterattack came 18 hours later. While Xerian forces expected retaliation against their main battle groups, the combined human Vorthak units struck at supply convoys and communication relays instead. Alex Turner's squadron destroyed 3 cargo ships carrying ammunition to the front lines. Vorthak commandos, using human stealth tactics, captured a Xerian communication station and used it to spread false orders that sent enemy reinforcements to empty space. Enemy response is confused and disorganized, Kate reported from her station. They're sending distress calls asking for new orders, but their command structure is breaking down. Dr. Carter's voice came over the communication system from his position with the technical team. Commander, the weapon modifications are working better than we hoped. We're getting 40% more energy output with 60% less power consumption. Jake smiled as he watched the tactical display change from red warning lights to green success indicators. Doctor, what's our production capacity for those modifications? If we can get the raw materials, we can upgrade the entire fleet in 2 weeks. Queen Zarenth had been quietly coordinating with her military commanders, but now she turned to Jake. Commander Morrison, I want to do something unprecedented. Instead of just defending, I want to capture Xerian territory. Vextar's crystal armor seemed to glow brighter with excitement. An offensive operation. My lady, that is very aggressive. The best defense is often a good offense, Jake said. If we can take and hold strategic positions in their space, we force them to fight on multiple fronts. The Queen activated the main display and highlighted 3 Xerian worlds that controlled major shipping lanes. These positions would give us control over their supply network. but taking them would require perfect coordination between our forces. Human adaptability and Vorthak precision, Jake said. Our people are good at adjusting to changing situations. Your people are excellent at executing complex plans. Together, we could pull off operations that neither of us could manage alone. The attack began 6 hours later. Jake rode in the command ship alongside Queen Zarenth as their combined fleet approached the first target, a heavily defended Zarion mining world called Ketra Prime. The enemy had 3 orbital defense platforms and a fleet of 30 warships, protecting valuable mineral extraction operations. Conventional assault would cost us half our ships, Vextar observed. Good thing we're not conventional, the Queen replied. The battle plan was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Human ships, small and fast, drew the attention of Zarion defenses while appearing to retreat. As enemy forces pursued them, Vorthak heavy cruisers using human stealth modifications appeared behind the defense platforms and destroyed them with concentrated fire. Meanwhile, mixed teams of human and Vorthak ground forces had already landed on the planet's surface using cloaked transport ships. They captured the mining control centers before the orbital battle was finished, leaving the Zarion fleet with nothing to defend. Ketra Prime is ours, Alex Turner reported from his fighter. Enemy fleet is withdrawing to the next system. The second and third targets fell just as quickly. Each victory built on lessons learned from the previous battle, with human creativity and Vorthak discipline creating new tactical possibilities. Dr. Carter's technical teams continued improving their equipment, while the combined military forces developed new strategies that used the best qualities of both species. Within a week, the hegemony of Zarion had lost 6 worlds and was requesting negotiations for a ceasefire. The same alien powers who had laughed at the human Vorthak alliance were now sending diplomatic messages asking for details about the new military technologies and tactics. The Saurian Empire wants to discuss technology sharing agreements, Kate reported. The Luminari are requesting military advisors. Even some of the smaller races are asking about joining our alliance. Jake stood next to Queen Zarenth's command chair as they watched Zarion representatives boarding the flagship under a flag of truce. The Queen looked tired but satisfied, the light patterns under her crystal skin glowing with quiet pride. When I announced our alliance, General Korthax called it the partnership of 2 weak races, she said. I wonder what he thinks now. Probably that he picked the wrong side, Jake replied. Your Majesty, I think this is just the beginning. We've shown what's possible when different types of strength work together. Queen Zarenth nodded as she prepared to meet with the defeated Zarion diplomats. Yes, Commander Morrison, and I believe the galaxy is about to learn that being different is not the same as being weak. The warning came at 0300 station time when Jake was sleeping in his quarters aboard the Joint Command Station that orbited between Earth and Vorthak Prime. Kate Phillips burst through his door without ceremony, her face pale in the dim emergency. Lighting. Commander, we have a problem, she said, handing him a datapad while he pulled on his uniform. Multiple simultaneous attacks. They hit Earth's lunar colonies and the crystal gardens on Vorthak Prime at the same time. Jake felt his blood turn cold as he read the reports. The lunar colonies housed nearly 2 million people, including his sister Lucy and her engineering teams. The crystal gardens were sacred to the Vorthak people, ancient formations that held cultural and spiritual meaning beyond their strategic value. Casualties? He asked, running toward the command center with Kate beside him. Still coming in, but it's bad. The attackers knew exactly where to hit for maximum damage and emotional impact. The command center was chaos when they arrived. Dr. Carter was coordinating with rescue teams on both worlds, while Commander Vextar managed military responses. At the center of it all, Queen Zaranth sat in her command chair, her crystal skin, darker than Jake had ever seen it, the light patterns underneath moving in sharp, angry bursts. "Status report," Jake said as he reached the central display. "Coordinated strikes using stolen intelligence," Vextar reported. "They knew our patrol schedules, defense positions, and the locations of critical infrastructure. This was planned by someone with access to our most secure information." Dr. Carter looked up from his console. "Commander, I've got confirmation that your sister's team survived. They were in the deep mining sections when the attack hit the surface installations." Relief flooded through Jake, but it was quickly replaced by anger as he saw the extent of the damage. Entire city sectors on Luna were destroyed, and the beautiful crystal formations that had grown for thousands of years on Vorthak Prime were shattered into fragments. "Who would do this?" Kate asked. "The Xerian hegemony signed a peace treaty after we defeated them." Queen Zaranth spoke for the first time since Jake had arrived. "This was not Xerion planning. They are direct fighters who attack military targets. This required someone who understands both our peoples well enough to know what would hurt us most." A new voice came from the entrance to the command center. "Someone like me, perhaps?" Everyone turned to see General Korthax walking into the room, but not as a prisoner or enemy. He wore the uniform of a galactic security advisor and was surrounded by guards from multiple alien races. "Korthax," Queen Zaranth said, her voice like ice. "I should have known you were behind this." The exiled general smiled, his dark crystal armor reflecting the room's lights. "I am merely an advisor to the Coalition for Galactic Stability, group of concerned leaders who believe your dangerous alliance threatens the natural order of things." Behind him walked representatives from several major powers. Prince Sektar of the Saurian Empire, his green scales gleaming. High Luminary Velosh of the Energy Beings, glowing with controlled fury. Even some smaller races that had been rejected by the old system were represented. "The coalition formed after your military victories," Prince Sektar said. "Your success upset the balance of power that has kept the galaxy stable for centuries." "Stable for you," Jake said angrily. "Stable for the races that were already on top while everyone else struggled." High Luminary Velosh floated closer, his energy form pulsing. "Humans and Vorthak are contaminating galactic culture with their ideas about equality and inclusion. Some traditions exist for good reasons." Dr. Carter stepped forward. "You mean traditions that keep you in power and everyone else serving your interests?" General Korthax raised a crystal hand for silence. "We did not come here to debate philosophy. We came to offer terms for surrender. The attacks today are just the beginning. We have operatives throughout both your territories and the resources of 6 major powers backing us." Queen Zaranth moved, her chair closer to the group. "What do you want?" "Dissolution of the Human Vorthak Alliance," Prince Sektar said. "Return to traditional diplomatic relationships, and removal of the current Vorthak leadership in favor of more suitable rulers." "You mean removal of me because I am disabled," the Queen said flatly. "I mean removal of a ruler who makes emotional decisions based on personal feelings rather than cold logic," Korthax replied. "Your alliance with humans was driven by sentiment, not strategy." Jake felt anger building in his chest. "Sentiment? We've won every military engagement, increased trade profits, and brought stability to regions that were chaos before. Temporary victories that will lead to long-term disaster, High Luminary Velosh said. Your success encourages other inferior races to think they deserve equal treatment. Inferior? Kate Phillips stepped forward, her young face flushed with anger. We've shown that cooperation works better than domination. General Korthax laughed. Child, you understand nothing about galactic realities. Power flows to those strong enough to take it and wise enough to keep it. Your queen's weakness threatens that natural law. Queen Zaranth was quiet through this exchange, but Jake could see the light patterns under her skin moving faster and brighter. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, but deadly. General, you seem to forget that I am still your queen, and as your queen, I challenge your right to speak for my people. The room fell silent. In Vorthak culture, formal challenges were serious matters that could only be resolved through combat or trial. My lady, Vextar said urgently, in your condition, physical combat would be suicide. I am aware of my limitations, Commander, she replied, but I am also aware of my strengths. Korthax's crystal armor seemed to glow with anticipation. You cannot be serious. A crippled ruler against a trained warrior. This will be over in minutes. Perhaps, Queen Zaranth said, but Vorthak law allows me to name a champion to fight in my place. Jake felt his heart race as he realized what she was thinking. Your Majesty, I volunteer to stand as your champion. No, Commander Morrison, she said firmly. This is my challenge and my responsibility. Before anyone could protest further, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Dr. Carter's console lit up with incoming messages. Ma'am, we have reports of uprisings on 7 Vorthak worlds. Military units loyal to General Korthax are seizing government buildings and declaring martial law. Kate checked her own displays. Human colonies are reporting attacks by unknown forces. They're hitting civilian targets and infrastructure. The coalition representative smiled at this news. Prince Sektar spoke first. As you can see, this rebellion has already begun. Surrender now and we will limit the damage. Queen Zaranth looked around at the chaos erupting across her empire and the human territories. Jake could see the weight of responsibility crushing down on her, the impossible choice between her people's safety and everything they had built together. But instead of despair, Jake saw something else in her silver eyes. The same fire he had, seen when she faced down the general's first coup attempt. The determination that had driven her to ally with humans when everyone else rejected her. Commander Morrison, she said, contact Squadron Leader Turner and prepare our rapid response forces. Commander Vextar, activate all loyal military units and coordinate with human defense forces. My lady, Korthax said, you cannot fight. The entire galaxy. Queen Zaranth looked at him with cold fury. General, you are about to learn what happens when you underestimate the disabled alien queen and her human allies. She activated the station's communication system, broadcasting to every human and Vorthak ship in range. All forces, this is Queen Zaranth. We are under attack by those who fear change and progress. Show them what we have learned about fighting together. As enemy ships appeared on the sensors and battle stations sounded throughout the station, Jake realized this would be the ultimate test of everything they had built. Not just their military alliance, but the idea that different kinds of strength could overcome traditional power. The battle for the Joint Command Station lasted 18 hours, but Jake knew the real fight was being won in the hearts and minds of people across the galaxy who were watching everything unfold on their communication networks. As enemy ships surrounded the station, Queen Zarinth had made a decision that surprised everyone, including Jake. Instead of hiding the battle, she broadcast it live to every world in known space. "Let them see what we fight for," she had said, as explosions lit up the space around them. "Let them see who we really are." Jake stood beside her command chair as their combined forces held off waves of attacking ships from the coalition. Squadron leader Alex Turner led human fighters modified, with Vorthak weapons against Saurian heavy cruisers. Commander Vextar coordinated Vorthak warriors using human guerrilla tactics to defend the station's docking bays from boarding parties. But the most important battle was happening in the station's main conference room, where Queen Zarinth had agreed to face General Korthax in single combat while billions of beings across the galaxy watched. "My lady, please reconsider," Dr. Carter said as they prepared for the confrontation. "His armor gives him advantages your mobility chair cannot match." Queen Zarinth checked the systems on her floating chair, which her engineers had modified with defensive shields and energy projectors. "Doctor, I have spent my entire life learning to fight battles that others thought I could not win." Jake wanted to argue, wanted to insist on taking her place, but he understood that this was something she had to do herself. The galaxy needed to see that strength came in many forms, and that being different did not mean being weak. The conference room had been cleared of furniture to create an arena. Representatives from dozens of worlds watched from a viewing gallery above, while the combat was broadcast live across space. General Korthax entered wearing full battle armor, his crystal weapons charged and ready. "Last chance to surrender, cousin," he said to the Queen. "I take no pleasure in destroying family, even damaged family." Queen Zarinth moved her chair to the center of the room. The light patterns under her crystal skin were calm and steady now, her silver eyes focused on her opponent. "Korthax, you never understood that our differences are not flaws to be hidden, but strengths to be celebrated." The general laughed and raised his weapons. Pretty words from someone about to die. What happened next surprised everyone watching, including Jake. Instead of trying to match the general's physical strength or speed, Queen Zarinth used her mobility limitations as advantages. When Korthax charged forward, she used her chair's precise controls to stay just out of reach while her energy projectors struck at his weak points. The general